The suspect seen on TikTok basically saying that he tried to brake but couldn't prevent hitting the child, and then goes on to blame the boy's parents for not being attentive. Well, Stephan, that man in his 30s is from Fort Lee, New Jersey, and he is believed to be receiving treatment here at Hackensack Meridian Medical Center since yesterday. And Chuck, there are so many stories. Congressman Josh Gottheimer described how he wanted to hug his kids. Congressman Andy Kim says he's been in Iraq and Afghanistan, but never imagined he'd have to lock down inside the Capitol. Now, the ranking Democratic member of the House Intelligence Committee says this memo should put to rest any concerns about the conduct of the FBI and the Justice Departments. Well, Gelma, we're about a block away from the White House, and you can probably hear behind me and see as well the party that's taking place. Large crowds of people, despite there being a pandemic, many wearing masks, gathering outside and around and nearby. A new group of victims and investigators asking why tonight. Police and workers say the shooter worked at the factory where he opened fire this afternoon. One worker saying he spared some while appearing to target others. Police say 29-year-old Jovan Young actually walked himself here to the 101 precinct and turned himself in this evening. Well, David, all's quiet at the Capitol tonight, now surrounded by a 7-foot fence expected to be up for the next 30 days. Well, they couldn't be with her in Tokyo because of the pandemic, but Christine O'Brien's parents decided to throw a watch party here at Johnny McGrory's pub, a nod to her heritage. The tragic melody. A young man's salute to veterans at New Jersey Veterans Home. So many of their service members lost to COVID-19.
I hope it will start to get hope that things will get better. And that they're not forgotten.
13-year-old Alex Saldana found out, like the rest of us Wednesday, that 37 veterans at the Paramus facility died in recent weeks. The Department of Military and Veteran Affairs confirming 10 of them tested positive for the novel coronavirus that likely contributed to the deaths of 27 others. Dozens more residents are sick, along with staff who have also tested positive. National Guard medics en route to help with the outbreak. Similar heartbreak playing out at long care facilities across the state.
All I have is the videos and the pictures of my last encounter with him.
Denise Perillo feeling the loss of so many other families. Her father, 85-year-old Annabelle Annis, died after contracting COVID-19 at Elizabeth Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. She didn't even know he had the disease. She says the nursing home never notified her. She got the call from the hospital he was taken to a week after developing symptoms.
I'm devastated because no one called me to inform me anything about my dad. I would have driven there, seen him from the window, tell him I love him.
Elizabeth's mayor asking the state's attorney general to launch an investigation into the 22 deaths at that facility since March. 12 of them, including Anna's, confirmed COVID-19 deaths, the rest untested. And the mayor says Perillo is not the only family member who wasn't notified.
I received social media requests today that they didn't even find out that there were COVID-19 cases into the facility because no one there informed the residents' family. And we have reached out repeatedly to that nursing home since yesterday, but have not received a response. We're live in Paramus this evening. Checkey, Beckford, News 4 New York. Well, the victim left his car running here on Nostrand Avenue to make a quick stop at this walk-up ATM last Thursday. That's when a would-be car thief jumped on the opportunity, jumping into the victim's car, not once, but twice. This was the first attempt. Watch as the man walks up to the parked car and gets in. As he's about to pull off, the owner runs up and reaches through the driver's side window in an attempt to stop him.
It's crazy out here how early in the morning someone has that type of idea to steal the car and go.
The 56-year-old victim's son, who doesn't want his face shown, seeing the video for the first time.
I'm kind of mad all over again now that I see the video.
That's because it shows the suspect trying to speed off while his father is still hanging out of the window. His father shaken like a rag doll when the car then slams into a bus.
Thank God my dad didn't fly across and died.
The car then slams into a parked vehicle. Even after his father is able to force the thief out, watch as the suspect runs back to the car and attempts to get in again. The victim and a Good Samaritan chasing him away. Police releasing this close-up of the suspect who's still on the loose. The victim's son hoping he won't be for long.
I'm just grateful because situations like that, you watch the news every day, situations like that, somebody is 9 times out of 10, somebody ends up dying.
Well, the Sun tells us his father had some cuts on his arm and pain in his hip and shoulder, but is otherwise okay. In Flatbush, Checkey, Beckford, News 4, New York. Even in his music, there's no escaping the grief.
What wasn't there to love about her? Amber was just a phenomenal woman. What I liked most about her is how caring she was. Amber always had this like motherly essence to her.
And that only compounds the tragedy for Bruce McIntyre, who's still haunted by the words of a doctor on what should have been the happiest day of his life.
The first thing that came out of his mouth was, "I'm sorry for your loss."
Amber Isaac Rose, the love of Bruce's life, died in April during an emergency C-section, giving birth to their son Elias.
I never got to see her hold him, play with him. I don't have no pictures of them two together, and that absolutely destroys me.
But in the darkness, there is light. While raising Elias, Bruce has found a mission.
I feel like the longer I wait to act, more families are in danger. More children are losing their mothers. More partners are losing their spouses.
He's fighting to change this chilling reality that in the U.S., black mothers are 3 to 4 times more likely to die in childbirth than white mothers, and 60% of those deaths were preventable. The numbers are even worse in New York, where black mothers are 12 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related complications.
Do you think that Amber would be alive today with Elias if she had been white?
Yes, 100%. Amber would definitely be here if she was white.
Bruce says it was a failure by doctors at Montefiore Hospital to diagnose Amber with a condition called HELP syndrome, a complication of high blood pressure. Amber, healthy and 26 years old, sensed trouble, tweeting soon before her death, "Can't wait to write a tell-all about my experience during my last 2 trimesters dealing with incompetent doctors."
Within the medical system, there's been this repetitive pattern to where when it comes to African American women, valuable information is failed to be delivered.
Of course, we have to look at society, and racism and bias is part of our society, and that shows up in healthcare as well.
The New York State Health Foundation found it's a chronic condition, noting implicit racial biases by healthcare providers have been associated with less accurate diagnoses, curtailed treatment options, and worse clinical outcomes for minority patients. Other studies show higher income and education levels make little difference.
Black mother with a college education is 60% at 60% greater risk for maternal death than a white woman with less than a high school education.
Celebrity is no insurance either.
I ended up getting pulmonary embolism in my lung, and I had blood clot in my leg.
Tennis star Serena Williams had a life-threatening scare after the birth of her first child and says she felt disregarded by doctors. Citing racial disparities, she said, "I hope my story can inspire a conversation that gets us to close this gap."
My heart is broken. It is broken.
For Dennis Semple in Reshima, Washington, that gap is an abyss. They still don't know why their 26-year-old daughter, Shayeja, died at Woodhull Hospital while giving birth.
I'm like, what happened? What went wrong?
I was there to see my daughter pass away. No father should have to see their daughter born and die. Oh my God.
Woodhull Hospital wouldn't answer specific questions about Shayeja's death, but in a statement to News 4 offered heartfelt condolences and noted the persistently high rates of maternal mortality that disproportionately affects people of color is a grave national crisis.
We need to listen to moms. We know we need to address implicit and explicit bias. We know that we need to address the root causes of social inequities that impact health.
They need to understand that we're not statistics. We're people with families.
Bruce McIntyre wants more answers, too, about Amber's death. Montefiore Hospital also declined to answer specific questions, saying any maternal death is a tragedy and highlighting the fact its mortality rate is lower than average.
If Amber would have received standard care, she would be here.
And that's what he wants now for every mother of color. He's launched the Save a Rose Foundation to pressure healthcare providers to get politicians focused on the crisis.
Amber would not want me to sit around and not do anything about this, because I know if it was the other way around, I know Amber would do it for me. I know Amber would fight hard for me, as she has. I want Elias to see who his mother was and how she impacted the community, how she impacted the world. I want him to know that his mother was a superhero.
Checkey Beckford reporting for News 4 New York. A day of celebration in the nation's capital, with plenty of honking, hooting, and hope.
I'm excited. I got goosebumps, as you can see right there.
Reaction outside the White House, overwhelmingly exuberant that President Trump would not be there much longer.
I can't believe this day finally came.
Inside the White House, an uncharacteristically quiet President Trump. His campaign putting out a statement with more baseless claims of fraud, saying in part, the simple fact is this election is far from over. Joe Biden has not been certified as the winner of any states, let alone any of the highly contested states. But presidential contests have typically been called long before the results are certified. President Trump was at his Virginia golf course when multiple media outlets projected Joe Biden the winner. But just an hour before, the president falsely tweeted that he had won the election by a lot.
I think there's been too many votes stolen.
Some of his supporters buying into his claims.
What evidence do you have of votes stolen?
Ask Mayor Giuliani.
The president's personal attorney today again claiming voter fraud in Pennsylvania without providing any evidence.
As you know, from the very beginning, the mail-in ballots were a source of some degree of skepticism, if not a lot of skepticism, as being innately prone to fraud.
But again, Giuliani not offering any evidence of that fraud. Meanwhile, we have not heard from most Republican lawmakers who have been called upon to denounce the president's statements about the mail-in process. We're live in Washington, D.C. tonight. Checkey Beckford, News 4 New York.